Ladies and gentlemen, how are you doing on this unseasonably warm and muggy day in my part of the world? I don't know about you, but I live in a place where it should be cold right now, and I have the windows open and it's 62 degrees out, so it's a weird day. And that's kind of like not that weird anyway, because as a Steelers fan, the last 2 months, actually the last 4 months, actually the last 5 years have been pretty weird. And we have a lot to contextualize today, ladies and gentlemen, because we haven't had the opportunity to do a radio show the last couple weeks. You know how it goes, holidays, I'm traveling, working remotely. My laptop's old. I normally work from a home machine. You know how it goes. Whatever. All that means is that we have more to talk to you about today. And here to share the responsibility with me and keep me on track when I go on random long diatribes about Chad Scott and Deshae Townsend is my good friend, Mr. Steele Flyers. How you doing, bud?
Oh my, I'm doing fantastic. Happy holidays. Happy New Year to everyone, to you, to all the fans, to everybody out there. You're right. It's been a little while, but you know what? That just makes it, when we do get together, that much sweeter.
Indeed, it does. I hope everyone had a great holiday. I think I said it in the show, but now I'm speaking to
Oh,
you,
yeah.
directly. I hope you had a good holiday. I did. I had a great holiday. I had
Awesome.
a good pair of holidays. New Year's, obviously, and my birthday is New Year's.
I was just gonna say, happy birthday to the great and awesome five-star matchup. Let me tell you something, folks. If you're not watching this guy, if you're not tuning into his show on a weekly basis after the Steelers either win or lose, five-star matchup is there bringing you the best in the biz. Listen, if you're not watching this guy, you're missing out on some great commentary. You're missing out on the highlights of the show or of the game and great insight. Man, you guys got to be checking out Five Star. Go to his Patreon, drop a quick $4 or $7, man, to hit the subscribe, hit the like button, be there, be square, catch this man at all times. You need to be doing that.
I appreciate that greatly. I have to say, I have noticed a pretty decent uptick in support on Patreon the last couple weeks as the Steelers have been winning, and I'm thankful to all of you guys. I assume some of you are here right now. And if you haven't joined yet, it does mean a lot. You know, we're about to go into the off season here. And as I've articulated a number of ways, you guys know I don't get ad revenue really off this show, just the radio show, which is, you know, a little bit here and there. But the main show where we do the most views and the most watch time, we can't cash in on ad revenue. So if you like the show and you want it to stick around and you want there to be a fifth season and all that, then you know, go over there and if you can support the show for just $4 or $7 a month, it means a lot. Helps it make it worth a little bit more of my time. And you know, who am I kidding? I'm gonna do the show no matter what. I love this show. I love bringing it to you guys. But you know, hey.
Stuff costs money.
It does. You
know, graphics cost money, and computers cost money, and internets cost money, and
it does. Are you seeing these thumbnails I'm putting out the last couple weeks? This one with Najee and Kenny this week. I'm putting in the work, man, on these things.
I'm telling you, dude. It's like, gosh, man.
I mean, one dude. I'm doing the, you know, I edit it, I write it, I do the voice. You know, I you know, and you know, you do the same. You do the same.
I do the same thing, man. You know, it's like, all right, man. I wish I could get somebody that could help me do some of this stuff, man, because holy smokes. And I tell you what, man, I'm really lucky because we created a really good group of people over at the Steel Flyers All Sports Network, and we're very thankful and grateful to have you, Five Star, as part of that great family that, you know, we're able to put great content, great product out there for you folks out there. So it's all because of you guys out there. It's all because of the listeners. It's all because the support from you guys and the fans. We wouldn't be here if it wouldn't be for you guys. So thank you very much, man. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that it would only be right after 2 weeks of unbelievable finishes, we get to football and talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. And
hey,
It's hard to. I would have to say I think it's hard to feel bad about what's happened the last 2 weeks. I think that this team has shown some real fight that I think a lot of us were questioning if they had it, and it's been impressive.
Sooner or later, it was gonna have to come. If it was gonna.
Yeah, it's just that we all thought it was gonna be
next year.
Next year, yeah.
Well, no, because see, you got some pretty good talent. Look, on paper, Pittsburgh is I don't want to, I'm not trying to, put my foot into the cement here by saying that, Pittsburgh on paper is a top tier team. Well, okay, technically they are on paper. Right? I mean, they aside from a few deficiencies, obviously rookie quarterback. Oh, that's a check mark. You know what I mean? You have an offensive line that's still really young. Although, man, I have to tell you something. As hard as I was on these guys at the beginning of the year and all the way throughout even the middle of the season until we got to about the last quarter of the season, these guys finally put it together. Like at the front half of the season, they were really good at pass blocking.
Yep.
And then after the bye, the light switch went on and they were like, hey, we can run block. And Najee started getting runs and Warren started getting runs but quarterback was running for his freaking life.
Yeah, and now they're kind of working in concert with each other, and you're just seeing, that they're learning how to, I've been reminded the last couple of weeks a lot of Le'Veon Bell and the way that offensive line was built so perfectly for Ben and Le'Veon to be playing behind them because Ben had developed the I'm getting rid of it in less than 1.9 seconds. And Le'Veon had that sort of patient thing. And so they all kind of had to learn to work for each other. If you took those individual pieces, Pouncey, Villanueva, DeCastro would have been a stud no matter where you put him. But for the most part, Ramon, those guys, if you put them on other teams, would they have been as good as they were with the Killer Bees team? I don't think so. I think they just developed, you know what I'm trying to say? Like they developed a perfect play style for each other. And what I'm saying here is that I think we're seeing the last couple weeks, Kenny is learning how to work with these guys in terms of where and when to scramble. And Najee is learning about, where to find the holes, where to do this, where to do that. And I think they're really growing together, and I think it's awesome to see. And
oh my gosh! Hard to explain. $15 hype. Oh
who
my!
Who is a member,
gosh.
as it is, an awesome member that we love.
Oh, and another
$2 from Sonic. Oh my gosh, you guys are the best, making my day. $17 right off the bat. Thank you so much. Yeah, I just think they're like starting to, work with each other, and
they are. You can tell.
And I thought that, I heard Kevin Dotson say that Mike challenged him specifically to be physical this week, and I thought that was really awesome to hear because Dotson is a guy that admittedly I've been down on because I remember talking to you when he was a rookie, and I said at one point doesn't Dotson just feel like the guy who's like the safest bet that he's going to be a Steeler for like a decade? Because I saw him and I was like, oh, that dude's going to be a beast. Like he's mowing people over.
I did too.
And then the last 2 years, it didn't really feel like he was progressing. Yeah. There was the stuff last year about how they were down on him. And all the fans were like, how could they be down on Kevin Dotson? He's so good. And then he just kind of wasn't that good. And then this year it was kind of middling again. They picked up a guard, for the other side, but still,
he's had his growing pains this year too.
Yeah, but I think he's but he's the arrow. I think, as Mike Tomlin would say, the arrow is pointed up on him. I think after the last couple weeks. And I think you gotta say the arrow.
I agree.
I think you gotta say the arrow is pointed up. I mean, James Daniels has been good all year. I've said I like Mason Cole. He did get blown back on one this last week, but and I think Dan Moore I think is improving. I really do.
Okay, I'm with you on that, but I've seen Cole get blown up more than just once. Okay, and that worries me. Okay, because as a center, playing that position, getting completely blown up like that. I mean, getting your back arched, you're looking at the sky, getting blown up.
But you know what I'll say though? I will say this. Has their short yardage and quarterback sneak game, both with Trubisky and Pickett, been excellent?
Okay.
It has. I believe between Pickett and Trubisky, I believe Trubisky was something like 8 of 9, and Pickett is like 11 of 11.
Yeah,
so
we see what they're doing, right? They're putting Boykin in there to grab a hold of somebody to push, or they're grabbing Najee to go in there and push, Hey, I don't care.
I'm just saying that's you got to give the center at least some credit for that. The Derek Watt ones, they've been good.
Right.
So I think that they're all finding
into his own.
They're finding their place. Boykin, you mentioned Boykin, by the way. I just got to say real quick. I liked that signing in the offseason, and I like the way they're utilizing him now.
Me too.
He reminds me of one of my favorite Steelers of all time, which was Darius Hayward-Bay, DHB.
Oh, yeah, buddy.
Former first-round pick. Comes over here to be like a 4th wide receiver, and he's just, but he was doing all the gritty stuff.
Are you watching this?
We are.
You watching what's going on in the chat?
People are generous today. We
oh my gosh!
We got a 5-star fiver from Levi, followed by another $10 here by Chris Alexander.
Oh my gosh! Listen, guys. Oh my gosh! Thank you so much.
Damn, we're about to pass that goal. I should have put that goal bigger.
I mean,
Who knew? Whatever my next business idea is, it needs to be something that is not based on emotions that I can't control, because people are so much more generous when the Steelers win. It was so hard to do this when they were like 2-6.
Oh my gosh.
It was so hard.
Hey, but you know what though? Here's the thing. Here's what makes doing what me and you do really awesome, because we had to trudge through the soup. We had to trudge through the mire. We had to trudge through the horribleness, the 16 penalties called on the offensive line every week.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Ever since week 10, okay, the Steelers' offensive line up until that point in time averaged 5.6 false start penalties, 3.9 illegal man downfield penalties per game.
They were getting a lot. Yeah, I haven't thought about that, but we haven't seen the illegal man downfield in a while.
Okay.
Yeah, I forgot there was a while where we were seeing that every single week.
Like 3 or 4
I forgot I was saying that in the show. Matt Canada doesn't know what the penalty is.
Right.
Wow, okay. I haven't thought about that, but we haven't seen that in feels like a month. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
So the last quarter of the season, the offensive line. This is what I said at the very.
So is it coming together for Matt Canada?
No, now stop now. No. Now stop now. Now don't get ahead of us now.
Still no. Okay.
I still think he needs to be gone.
Yeah.
But this is what I said at the very beginning of the season. If the offensive line can come out of camp as a unit, as a brotherhood, and kick Heine all the way through, then they could be good. But they didn't quite come out of the gates the way they needed to, and it took them that 10 weeks to get it, for the light bulb to go off. Because the first 4 weeks of the season, they were really good at pass blocking. Yeah. And then the second part of the season, they were really good at run blocking. Well, now the last quarter of the season, we're getting oh my god.
Shout out Brandon. Wow. Thank you.
Whoa. Oh my
a 5-star
god.
20. Brandon McDaniel, appreciate you, homie. Thank you.
Wow.
You guys are great today.
This is blowing me away,
yeah,
man.
you guys are great today. I appreciate you. This means a lot to me. You know, as we round the corner here. Thank y'all.
This is very humbling, man. I got to be honest with you.
It is. People are feeling good. It's the holidays, you know.
Yeah, man, and it's good when they're winning. So.
Oh, I got another one. Oh my god. Wow, 1999 from Ben. This is
goal has been met.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and I gotta say, not all from names that I see too familiarly either. So you know, thank you guys.
Wow. Oh my gosh, man. Thank you guys so much.
Hey, man. You know, it is. As you say though, like, you know, it was hard doing this in the weeks in the middle, and one of the things that I learned in the first couple of years doing this show, because, you know, I wasn't in past years, I didn't do every single week an episode if it was like a situation where I just knew, like, okay, the Steelers got killed, like, you know, 41-10 we lose to the Bengals. Like, am I gonna put the effort in to get 1,500 views when the show normally would get like 10 or 15 or 20,000 or whatever?
Last show was like what, 13, 16?
Yeah. And so this year I just said, you know what, we're rebuilding, and what is happening today? Is it always been this easy? What is going on?
Oh my gosh! Thank you, Brandon.
We got another 20 from Brandon. The same Brandon. What a legend!
Wow, dude! Wow. Oh my gosh! Thank you guys so much.
This is quite the trip. Thank you. This is probably that's $90 in chat revenue. If we can, that's just wild. I mean, is it greedy to say can we get it to 100? I mean, like, just for posterity's sake.
Come on, you guys can do it.
I appreciate you guys so much.
Oh man, this is so awesome.
No, I did. But I made the conscious effort this year. There you go. What is happening?
Oh my gosh!
Wow!
Thank you guys so much.
Pushed us to 107 on the day. Wow. Generous. Very cool.
So you know what this means now, right? Humbling. Don't you, 5-star?
What's that?
Right. So now they've set the bar.
Yeah.
Right. Really high. So we better give them a really good show.
Yeah. Oh man.
No pressure.
I completely lost track of what I was talking about because so many people just gave me money.
Oh my god,
that's unbelievable. All right.
The last thing I remember we were talking about was the offensive line coming together.
Yeah. So I think you know, you're seeing them get better as the season goes on, but what I've said all along is that I just really thought that the improvement when it. Brandon's blowing all of his Christmas money on us. Brandon, I mean, awesome. Thank you. What is going on today? Do we have benefactors now? Are you guys producers on the show now? What is happening?
Would you like to be?
Oh my god. Oh my goodness.
Another one.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, hard to explain. I did see this earlier, that you sent this, and it's not expensive to make a shirt through Teespring. Actually, it's free to do a design. So because you donated twice today, like everyone else, I will take it upon myself when I get some free time this week, and I will design a "There's Always Money in the Muthman" shirt. And you'll get I'll send you a promo code or whatever, and we'll figure it out. But yes, cool. I will do it. I've been needing to make. Is Brandon a millionaire? What is happening?
Yeah, right? Oh my gosh, man.
Oh my God.
Whoa.
This is outrageous.
Yeah, it is. It is like the telethon. All right.
Oh my God. Okay. Now I almost gotta be like, all right.
Okay.
Okay, that's $222.12 we've made in chat revenue today.
Wow. Wow.
Okay.
Jeez.
So I was talking.
I think they like to just hear us laugh.
I was talking.
The more we laugh, the more money they keep throwing. Anyway.
Yeah. Happy birthday to me.
Hey, thank you guys so much.
I will definitely make the Muth shirt for sure.
Oh man, oh my gosh, that would be so cool. And listen, if you want to, I can try to put it up on the Steel Flyers site too.
Sure.
Right, and we can try and do and put it out on the steelflyers.com website as well too, where you'll be able to. That'll be another spot where you can buy the shirt as well. So if you want, I'll even send you a mock-up design as well.
Oh, and we got a Patreon too. While we were talking, new $7 patron. One of the guys in the chat, Ben.
Hey, there you go.
Great day for
Ben.
5-star business.
Awesome sauce, man.
Okay.
Cool.
So
the FanDuel money.
Yes.
It's the FanDuel
Brandon
money.
with the FanDuel. Oh my goodness.
There you go. So listen, here's the other thing that I want to address specifically, because before we forget and everything like that, I know we've been talking a lot about the offensive line.
Sure.
I want to say something about the skill positions on the offense.
Sure.
Obviously, freiermuth, as we all know, has basically turned into what I knew he was going to be. I watched him play at Penn State.
I thought he'd be a good tight end. I thought he'd be like a Jazicki type or something, but I didn't think he was going to be like top 4 or 5 tight end in the league.
No, man, because he's got speed.
Yeah, he does.
I mean, he doesn't have blazing speed.
No, but he runs like
he doesn't
Kelsey.
have like Mike Wallace speed or anything.
No, but he runs like a Kelsey. He can get away. He can get downfield.
Exactly, and he's got the body.
Yep.
Right, he's thick. And he's got that good tight end body to where, and he's tall.
Yeah.
Right. So he's got all the intangibles. I watched him play like that at Penn State. That's exactly how they used him, just like Pittsburgh is using him.
Yeah. I'll tell you though, the one thing that he'll never be he'll never be a Gronk or a Kittle though, because he can't block. He really can't. That's not a knock on him. He's not good at it.
Okay, but you know what? That's something that he can get good at.
Yeah.
Okay, so only being his second year, I'm not going to hold it against him.
I'm not knocking him. I'm just saying that to me was always the thing about Gronkowski that people kind of didn't think about, was like he was a great receiver. And most of the time we talk about great tight ends, we're talking about the great receiving tight ends. But that dude was a monster blocker too. And that to me is like why he's kind of in his own tier, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
But that's just me complimenting a guy who killed
Tony Gonzalez was another one too that was really good at making sure to at least chip or at least get that shoulder into the guy coming around the edge to so that he could get out into the flat and or whatever.
Yeah, and it's not a knock on Muth. I mean, there's obviously been a million guys that have made a hell of a career just being a great receiver. So it's not a knock, but it's just something. It's like I say about Najee, how at his size is not a good blitz pickup guy. Like it's just, it's just
which is amazing because Jaylen Warren is the exact opposite. And that dude takes on guys that are like 6'5", 300 pounds.
But as I've always said, it's not about size. I mean, Le'Veon was great at that, and Le'Veon was not big.
But Le'Veon was at least 6 foot something.
Yeah.
He's at least 200 something.
Yeah.
Jaylen Warren is. I mean, is he even 6 foot?
He's short. He's big, but he's short.
But that's what I mean. Is he even 6 foot?
He's turned into a real nice player, man. I mean, it's not. There's enough of a sample size now where you're, he's 5'8", 215.
Okay, so
wow,
like I
that's
said,
a bowling ball, man. That's crazy. 215.
yeah,
I mean, I'm
dude.
5'8", and if I ever get over like 175, I'm like, all right, this is getting a little.
Got the real punch going then at that
Yeah,
point on.
yeah. So 215 at that size is
Thick.
yeah.
Bowling ball. I mean, look at
Wow.
him.
Yeah, I
Right,
know.
he
I
looks
know.
like he looks like his helmet is just popped on his shoulder pads, right?
Yeah,
You
he
know, and
does.
he's just this thick tank running down the field, man. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Hey, give that
No,
guy more
he's
touches
great, and I
sometime.
love that Mike has finally decided he's okay with giving more carries to a second running back. I thought, even when D'Angelo was here, as many of us have said, when Le'Veon wasn't hurt, D'Angelo barely played at all, and that was a real waste because he's a great player.
I was just gonna say he was really good,
And you
man.
didn't
I
need to,
really liked
you didn't
him.
need to put 350 touches on Le'Veon every year, but
No.
he did,
Oh
and
well.
he did that with Willie Parker before that, Mendenhall before that. He ran guys into the ground, but it seems now with Najee, he's realized it'd be best not to do that. It's a good thing.
Finally. I guess, a couple more bricks need to fall on your head to finally realize, hey, I can't run the running backs into the ground. Okay.
But it's, the last couple weeks we've seen him get, Carolina, he had 11 carries, and then this week he had 12. And, you're just seeing him touch the ball. New Orleans, he had 9 carries for 37. So, you're seeing it where it's, like that 2-to-1 kind of ratio. And
He's
think
got
that,
like what, 600 some yards for the season? Like 630 or
no,
not quite that much.
no. He's got 71 carries for 343, 4.8
343.
average. Yeah.
Okay, 343. All right.
It's not that many carries, 78 carries. That's
Okay.
that's a
I
good
wasn't
average.
sure. I wasn't sure what he was at. You know what I mean? But for being what he is, to spell Najee or whatever he is, to be the change up back or whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm down with this kid all day long, man. If I read a little article about him too. He said the reason why he signed with Pittsburgh is because they offered me the most.
Yeah, well, I mean that's what it's about.
Thank you, Mr. Rooney. Picked up a good one.
Yeah, looking at the Steelers' rushing stats for the year, Najee is rounding up towards 1,000 again. He's got 249 for 954, 6 scores. Then he's got 40 catches for 219 yards and 3 touchdowns through the air. So, he'll end up with double-digit total touchdowns and, probably somewhere around 1,300 total yards. And healthy the whole year again, obviously, assuming he makes it through this next game healthy. And I got to say that's, been the most impressive thing about Najee for me is
his availability.
the way he runs, especially this last month. Sometimes I see him get bent over backwards, funny ways, legs funny ways, and he's always fine. And it's really very impressive.
So he does yoga.
Yeah.
He does yoga. That's one of the things that he does.
I'm sure.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, look, the infamous James Harrison, right, was spending upwards of $300,000 a year to maintain his thunderous muscle boundness.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Right. So that's how much it costs him to like massages and nutritionists and right, and all the treatments that he was getting and the whole 9 yards. Right. So that kind of stuff costs big bucks.
Sure.
Right. So especially gym rats like that are all down with that. And hey, man, go ahead with your bad self.
I'll say another interesting observation too with Jaylen Warren that I hadn't quite realized, but I'd noticed that he's a pretty good receiver.
He catches.
He does, and he makes some nice catches, not just like easy running back catch and run catches. And I will say that he has 23 less targets and 15 less catches than Najee. and only 12 less yards. So his average per reception is 8.3 yards per reception, which for a running back is pretty good. And the more I think about it, he's got an 86% catch percentage. And the more I think about it, he's been a very effective weapon in the passing game. And I just think it's interesting, And
I agree.
And Najee has the ability to make those sort of wide receiver type catches like we saw him do to win this game. I agree. It's they're developing a nice tandem there.
It is. And you know what? Yeah. You know what the key to all of this has been?
What's
the development of Kenny freaking Pickett.
That's where it always came down to, and that is that's what I knew would happen. Like, I knew the change would happen once we saw it start to come together for Kenny Pickett. The quarterback, as everyone knows, I'm a very quarterback centric. The way that I think about the game is very quarterback centric. I think if you have a quarterback in this day and age, if you have a quarterback, you could put Patrick Mahomes on the worst roster in the NFL,
and that team's gonna win some
and
games.
They're gonna probably go to the conference championship. Like, I really wholeheartedly believe quarterback is that singularly important. It's why for 20 years later, for the last 20 years, we had a chance every single week because we had Ben Roethlisberger and he could beat anybody. It's why Tom Brady's had a chance every single week, et cetera, et cetera. And what we're seeing before our eyes is Kenny Pickett turning into that. We knew and thought we knew that he had the ability physically to do this. But, like a month or two ago, people were saying, well, wasn't the word that he was supposed to be the most pro-ready quarterback in the draft? And now he comes in the middle of the season, and he's throwing interceptions, and people are saying he's not ready and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, well, yeah, but the reason people were saying he wasn't ready was because he wasn't getting first-team reps in camp in the first month of the season and all that. So we kind of saw him to take his lumps in real time against the best teams in the NFL. Literally. I mean, literally the best teams in the...
Yeah, he had to do his training camp
against the Buffalo Bills.
Preseason game. Right, against the New England Patriots. Again,
of course the Bills are going to beat us by 35 points. I mean, they got Josh Allen. So we saw him do that. And I just wish he played from the get-go, to be honest. I
agree.
That's how I kind of think about it.
He was the best quarterback in the room all day long.
He was, and
even from jump. From jump,
he was. I really struggled to imagine them not winning another game or two, if he had just started from the go. Because I kept thinking about these last 2 weeks, especially the Oakland game. I was thinking about the Miami game so much. And
I knew you were gonna say this.
Right? No, I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop thinking about it because I remembered the feel of watching the Dolphins game, and it was the first time in a long time, except for backup quarterback situations, where I realized, I don't I don't know we have this, because when we had Ben, I kind of he was going to do it more often than not. If he needed a touchdown, he was going to get it done. Even the last 2 years when he was shot, he did it over and over and over again, because that was what he lived for, and that's what he's the greatest at all time of doing. And I'll take that to my grave. I wholeheartedly believe that.
Oh, yeah, and we saw him do it. Game in,
a million times, a million
times, and it's like, hey, it's another Ben situation.
He could be horrible. Absolutely horrible. I saw it happen on Christmas Day in 2016. I'll never forget it. I went with my late uncle and one of my best friends, and we're sitting there in the third quarter. Ben had thrown 2 interceptions in the third quarter, and he's going, why did I spend money on this? I could have been watching in front of my fireplace. Instead, I'm freezing my butt off watching Roethlisberger throw 2 stupid interceptions, and just that feeling of just it's as bad as it could possibly go. And what happened at the end of that day? I literally saw him win the game. Like, he did it single-handedly. And not single-handedly, but, mostly. And I just, Ben, we had that for 20 years, and Kenny Pickett, I remember that Dolphins game, watching it and saying, well, it'd be cool if he does it, but I don't know if he's ready to do it. And then what I saw against Oakland and what I saw this week against Baltimore was a recertification of that, which was, oh, this dude's ready to do that. Because those throws. I just want to say, the drive against Oakland was cool because it was the first time we saw him do it. But the one against Baltimore, the two throws he made, really the three throws, the one to Muth, the one to Sims, and then the touchdown, were serious throws. The one to Steven Sims, I'm telling you,
next level throws.
If that was Patrick Mahomes or Justin Herbert, people wouldn't stop tweeting about it. I'm just saying.
I mean, it wasn't quite the little sidearm chuck that Patrick Mahomes does, the no-look sidearm chuck. But either way you slice it, I think those three plays are next level plays. We're starting to see more of the next level plays from Kenny Pickett.
He even made two great plays that didn't happen on the stat sheet because the receiver didn't make the play. The one to Deontay down the left sideline, that he dropped that thing in the bucket and it was like 50 yards downfield. Deontay couldn't make the catch. And then he made another one to Pickens that Pickens stepped out of bounds first. And he made another one to Deontay that Deontay didn't catch on the right side.
Yeah.
So,
that's three.
His stats might have looked a lot different.
I'm really liking the fact that he's taking care of the ball. I really like the fact that that's something that, he personally took on himself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was something that he, challenged himself on. I'm sure that the coaching staff came to him and said, "Hey, Kenny, can you keep the ball on our team?"
I mean,
because they surely shouldn't have said that to Mitch Intercepsky.
Listen, he has played now 11 games. He started 11 and he's played 12. So that means
JP.
And he's come out a couple times, right? So he's probably played about 11 full games or something like that. And he's thrown 9 interceptions. I'm certain that there are stretches where Ben threw 9 interceptions in 11 games. It's just that Ben would have also thrown 18 or 20 touchdowns in that time, so it wouldn't look as crazy. You know what I mean? What kills Pickett is that he just hasn't thrown a lot of touchdowns, still only with the 6, but the team all year, and this is still just a concern with Matt Canada, they haven't, for the life of them, really been able to scheme passing touchdowns. They just really haven't.
Which is why I still think that no matter what happens, I think Canada's going to be gone.
Yeah.
Because we don't have those the type of plays that are splash plays is what they call them, right? George Pickens has leading the league in number of catches that are over 10, 20 yards. Do you know what I mean? Those are splash plays, but he only has like 10 or 11 of them. And here we are, week 18, and he only has 10 or 11 of them.
Well, he has a lot of those, but overall as a team, I think
that's what I mean.
Plays of 15 or more, I think we're actually last in the league.
That's what I mean. Yeah. That's just, so you see what I'm getting at on that, right? So he has all of our splash plays.
Yep.
And that's just not enough. You know what I mean? To sustain an 18-week
the bottom line is the yardage is, it's still not good enough. Depending on what happens this week, if Pickett doesn't throw for multiple touchdowns, we will not have had a game with multiple touchdown passes all year. So, I mean, no matter who's playing quarterback, whether it's a rookie, whether it's Mitchell Trubisky, I mean, say what you want about Trubisky. He's had a year when he's thrown probably 25 touchdowns in this league. He was a Pro Bowler, I think, his second year. Not saying he's any good, but still, 2 touchdowns isn't exactly an insane stat line. Guys throw 2 touchdowns all the time. Although now as I'm looking, I think I missed this, a slight correction. I think Pickett and Pickett and Trubisky both threw touchdowns against Tampa. Neither threw two. So the team had 2 total that week, but
yeah, but one quarterback does not have 2 in one game.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Peyton Manning's first year, he threw 13 interceptions.
Yeah. No, right? I'm not concerned about, I've lost concern with the interception thing because it hasn't shown to be a problem. He's only thrown now, I think one since Philly, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think so.
So, I mean, to me, that is, look, let me see. Interceptions, yeah. He has 1 interception since Philly, which was the day before Halloween. So really, since Halloween, he's thrown 1 interception.
That's taking care of the ball as far as I'm concerned.
You take that all day.
And he doesn't have any fumbles, right? So that's the other thing, too, that you usually see with rookie quarterbacks, right? Because they usually tend to scramble outside the pocket to try to extend the play and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And they hold the ball like a loaf of bread. But you don't see that from Kenny Pickett.
No, right? And everybody said that would be the problem. He did have the fumble against the Jets. He had 1, I think.
Okay, but 1, big deal.
Yeah. No, and he's been really good about that. I think his I had a line about this in the show, but I cut it. That people just didn't talk enough about his quarterback mobility in the pre-draft process because he was kind of looked at as, because everybody was talking about Malik Willis and his dynamic running ability and stuff. But Kenny Pickett is an effective runner. Like, straight line speed, I think he's faster than, like, Patrick Mahomes. And, you see him, like, making plays now running. That the touchdown pass was a great scramble, man. He had to get out of the pocket. He had to evade a rusher. I thought he was going to get sacked.
Yeah, I did too.
And he had the confidence to get out there, and he avoided the sack and held onto the ball because he had the ball outstretched in the one hand. Everybody's worried about the small hands, but he had that ball outstretched. Jason Pierre-Paul had a chance at it and
missed.
Yeah. So I think he's been I think he's been as advertised, if not better.
I saw the greatest tweet this week about KP. Small hands, gigantic.
Yeah, no, right? I mean, you just saw him the last 2 weeks, just ice
carrying
cold.
Those big gigantic ones in a wheelbarrow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he looked like Randy in that episode of South Park. I mean, but that I knew that about him. I never had any concern about that with him.
All you had to do was watch him play at Pitt.
The little I did see him in college, I was like, nah, that dude's a dude. I just didn't know. My only concern about him ever was the physical ability. I just wasn't sure about his arm strength. I wasn't sure that it was going to be enough, but the more I've seen of him, the more I'm convinced, why can't he be a Drew Brees type? Drew Brees never had the strongest arm in the world, but he ran an effective offense for a long time.
And he was consistently one of the most prolific passers throughout his career, where he had buku yards, buku catches, buku touchdowns every year. You know what I mean?
Frankly, I can't believe this is just a little aside, but I still can't believe the Saints passed on Pickett. I really can't. I thought no, in that draft as it was starting to break, I thought there was no chance he got past the Saints. It just seemed like such a perfect pick, and they passed on him. And I did hear Sean Payton talking about him. He was on Rich Eisen's show, and he was talking about his smarts and how much he liked him, and I really wonder if Sean Payton was still there, if they would have taken Pickett. I think they probably would have.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because I think he would have saw that DNA and said, nah, we got to go with that guy.
Yeah, for real. All right. We've talked about one side of the ball. Mm-hmm. There's one thing that I've noticed in the shows, and it's a little concerning. Hey, where's the music? And what's with Boswell missing some of these kicks? Is it because he's still bothered by this injury, maybe? Did he come back a little too soon? I mean, when I don't hear the creepy laugh and the money, I get concerned.
Yeah, so he's had a down year. He, I believe, I was looking at statistics this week, and I believe in his bad year of 2018 that the Boz was, let's see here.
By the way, our crack staff, meaning 5-star,
I'm just
got it pulled up on his computer.
So he was 65% in 2018, 13 of 20.
Ooh. Okay.
And he missed 5 extra points. And in his best seasons, which I thought were 17, 20, and 21, he was pretty flawless.
Pretty, yeah.
17, I thought he was just an ice-blooded killer in 17. That was they needed so many last-second kicks in that game,
and he was just the man.
That 53-yarder he made against the Packers after that ridiculous AB Ben catch. That I think that's one of those catches that is just seared in my brain of like.
I'm with you.
I remember real time just saying, "There's no way he caught that," and you see the replay and you're like, "This guy is unbelievable."
I think that was at the point in time where you're like, whoa.
Where you just started to,
is like,
yeah.
Whoa.
You just started to be like, I don't even have to worry. Of course he made the catch. It's kind of like when Deontay's going towards the sideline, and I'm like, he probably didn't make the catch. AB's like, he's going towards the sideline. I'm like, I don't even have to look. I know he caught it.
Yeah, exactly. Because Tony Toe Taps is there with the catch. You know what I mean? So.
No, he was unbelievable. But yeah, so in those years, he was 35 of 38 and 17. That's 92%. And then in Ben's first year back, he was 19 of 20. That's 95%. And 21 last year, he was 36 of 40, which on that volume is a good, it's 90%, but at that volume. And they asked him to kick a lot of deep ones last year, I'm sure, because the offense was so terrible.
And he did a lot of kickoffs.
He kicked 9 from 50 plus last year, which is a career high. So
that's asking a lot from the Boswell leg.
Yes, it is. So this year he is 18 of 26, which is 69%. So just a little bit above where he was in 2018, but I
think the injury still might be bothering him. Yeah, I think the injury might still be bothering him too. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's what it was in 18 also. He's proven, I'm not worried about Boswell. I just kind of have the mindset, though, of, what was the rush? Like, Wright was, like, kicking really good, and just let the kid finish out the year if you're not feeling up to it. You're getting paid either way. It is what it is. I love the Boz. I can't tell him what to do. He's a valued member of this franchise.
I mean, he's getting paid like he is now, too, so.
Nice, and I love Boswell, but the last 2 weeks, and we've seen it now, where there's been a couple stretches where you just say, he's just, and that's, and that happens to even the best players. I've seen even Robbie Gould missed a couple the other day, including a game winner, and he's usually really good. It happens.
That's an ex-Penn Stater there too.
But then all I say to that though is when people try to say that any of them is as good as Justin Tucker, I say that's why they're not, because Justin Tucker never bleeping misses anything ever. That guy is unbelievable.
I think he said he missed 3 this year.
Yeah, he had a couple blocked.
He had 3 misses and 1 block or something like that.
Three misses and 2 blocks.
Still,
nobody's gonna be perfect, but that dude is as close as it gets, man. If you had to have one sports thing where it had to be, you were betting your life or death on it, and you gave me the option of Michael Jordan making a free throw or Justin Tucker kicking a 40-yard field goal, God's honest truth, I might take Justin Tucker kicking the 40-yard field goal because that guy just
I have to
doesn't
go with
miss.
you on that too.
The guy just doesn't miss.
Jordan was only 68% or something like that from the free throw
what
line.
Are you nuts? No, he probably shot 89% from the free throw line.
I have no idea what those numbers
but
are.
Still,
I bet
you Justin Tucker's probably higher than 90% kicking a 40-yard field goal,
I bet.
which is nuts.
Oh my gosh, are you looking it up?
Yeah, Jordan's career free throw percentage was 83%. So yeah, honestly, I bet you Justin Tucker's probably got a higher career percentage from 40 yards.
At field goals from 40?
Yeah, than the greatest basketball player in the history of the world has at making free throws. It's nuts. Let me see, just for
my money's on the kicker.
Just for argument's sake, you have a calculator? Let me see.
Go for it.
40 to 49, Justin Tucker is 104 out of 116.
For 40-yard kicks?
Yeah, he's made 104 out of 116. That's got to be like... That's
93%.
Something like that, right? Yeah.
90... It's like 92.6 or something stupid like that, right?
I mean, that's just... that's nothing. That's 100%, basically. Yeah, no, and I the one underrated play, I talked about it in the show, but I don't want y'all to forget it. Cookie's favorite son, Terrell, had a rough game. He usually does much better against Mark Andrews. My uncle was busting my balls on a text message because he's always hating on Edmonds, and I'm like, nah, he's good. He just doesn't blah, blah, blah. And
he had a rough game.
And normally he does good against Andrews. He usually really does. But he was getting beat. But he made a gigantic play, which was that pass breakup. The Ravens got that kickoff return and did not capitalize on it. That's right. That was because gigantic.
That was a 3-and-out. That was a 3-and-out play because of his busted up play there on third down.
Exactly. If that was complete, that would have been to about the 38, and they would have tried. They would have kicked a field goal, and Tucker would have made it. It would have been 55 yards. He would have definitely made it. And then
55 yards, Justin Tucker. Yeah, that's nothing.
So yeah, I think I just don't want that little. Those are the little plays that tend to get lost because people see that and they think, well, it would have been fourth down anyway. Yeah, but the difference between getting the ball back down 4 and down 3 or down 7 is dramatically different.
The difference is that it was going to be a punt instead of a field goal try.
Exactly.
That's the difference.
Exactly.
Okay. So instead of 3 points now, you're starting from, I think Pittsburgh started from the 12 or the 13.
Yeah, because that was the second to last possession, right? Because the Steelers got one, and then they only got one first and punted it back.
Yeah,
I think, and then they got the stop again, and then they got it, and then it went into the end zone.
Went down. Yeah. All right.
And that's the other thing too. I wanted to say, or maybe they got the field goal on that one. Whatever it was, I think that might have been when they got the field goal. I don't remember how everything played out, but when they got the field goal drive, I believe that we started on the 12 or the 8 or something like that.
That's the play out. That's the series I was talking about. Yeah. After that kick, and then we got the ball, we went down and then kicked that field goal, but we started on the 12.
Yeah, and in some ways I found that drive to be, even more impressive than the later one because the other one, they did ultimately score the touchdown, but they were in gotta have it mode. They were going deep, whatever. But that one, to me, these little things with Pickett, I'm noticing now, where you remember Super Bowl 43 and you remember the drive starts. You say, okay, we got a chance. We're at the 20. Then there's a holding, and now all of a sudden the drive's got to go 90 yards, and that's what everybody forgets because the stats don't say that because the drive technically started at the 20 or whatever it did.
Well, the original line of scrimmage was the 20.
Exactly.
But because of the penalty, it was 1st and 20.
Exactly. And that changes the whole context of what Ben actually achieved. And, just seeing these little things now with Pickett as a rookie where, starting inside your 10 for a rookie quarterback, That's a risky proposition, that I remember for years with our defense where, if an opposing team had a rookie quarterback and they were starting inside their own 15, they weren't even going to throw the ball. They were just going to try to run it 3 times and punt it back,
That's the other thing too about Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has one of the best records against rookie quarterbacks.
Yeah, they do. They always do well against them. Yeah,
always do well against rookie quarterbacks. Now,
most of the long tenured coaches, though, Belichick does too. I'm sure Harbaugh does. All the long term coaches generally, I think, do good against rookie quarterbacks.
Generally, but it just seems like Pittsburgh has always done well against rookie quarterbacks. Not that there was, you know what I mean. Not that Huntley is a rookie by any stretch of the word. You know what I mean.
Yeah, he's a capable backup.
Very much so. I mean, we saw him play. He played us real well when he was the backup for Green Bay.
Yeah, you're thinking of a different guy. You're thinking of Hundley. That was a different guy.
Oh, okay.
We've seen Huntley now twice as a Raven, I believe. We saw him in the first game this year, and I think we saw him in a game last year too.
So you can understand my confusion.
Yeah,
there.
Similar names, but no, not the same guy.
Okay, all right. I thought it was the same kid.
No. But that guy did play as well in that 17 game. That was the one where AB made that catch. Yeah.
Right. Okay, but okay. So
no,
I'm
but
not that crazy.
They're getting better, and defensively, I think. I saw a stat today. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but in the last 4 games, they've given up a very small amount of second half points. Generally,
still giving up running yards.
Yeah, a little bit.
League leading interceptions.
But they are ultimately in the top 10 in rush defense this year. They're
True.
I think they're 7th right now. I was looking. Which
league
after last year
was
a big. That's true. Leading the league in picks. The pass rush.
Minka, the main man, pots and pans. What is he at? 6 now?
He is as a career high for him, and he is. What was I going to say? He has a chance to do something that no Steeler has done since 1975, which is lead the league in interceptions.
Wow! And was that? Let's see, 75. Ooh.
Read this in The Athletic today.
Okay, was it? I think Mel Blount.
Yep, it was a year before the Mel Blount rule.
The Mel Blount rule.
Yes.
That's what I was trying to remember.
He had 11.
If it was.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh man.
I think that I can't. I'm trying to remember if I'm wrong. Somebody call me out. But I think that they might have tied, or I don't remember. But whatever it is, I think he would be the first. He would be the first Steeler. He's tied with 2 other people at 6 right now. So if neither of them get another one, or he gets another one, or whatever,
because Woodson's had quite a few in one season as well.
He's nowhere near the most in Steelers history in a season. 6 is a relatively low number to lead the league, but sometimes that happens. Interceptions are weird like that. Sometimes there's been years where the guy with the most interceptions in the league was 4 or 5. It just sometimes it happens like that. It's weird. They're hard to. They're hard to extrapolate.
But for the fact that the Steelers defense is leading the league in interceptions.
Yeah.
I mean, that says something about this is something that we talked about at the very beginning of the season. This is something that we've talked about throughout this entire season. Oh, hey, another 5-star fiver. Hey.
Oh, nice. Another one just rolled in. Awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Hard to explain.
Wow, hard to explain is shelling out the big bucks today.
I'm telling you, man. Holy smokes.
Jeez, he's a Celtics fan.
They said it's all that money.
He's a Celtics fan. He's given me more money than the Celtics gave to Kemba Walker a couple years ago for a few disappointing years. Shout out Kemba, though. As y'all know, I am from Connecticut, so he's a UConn guy. Love me some Kemba Walker. He was a very disappointing Knick, but that's my basketball diatribe for the moment. Weird stat. Tomlin is 8-2 at Baltimore when the Ravens come in 500 or better, yet 8-8 overall. 0-5 when they're under 500, plus the 2011 opening week. That is, I did see something like that, and that is really bizarre. They're hard to explain. It's the Steelers and Ravens. I will just say, I look back now on having done this show for a few years, and it's just inexplicable. Even as the pieces have moved on, Flacco's moved on and Ben's moved on, man, these games just continue to be awesome. It's not always going to be both games, but pretty much at least one of the games every year between the Steelers and the Ravens is going to be an absolutely amazing football game. I mean, it's just a fact. This one was great. Agreed. One in week 8, both of them last year were really good. The week 12, both of them in 2020 was good too. Yeah.
And this year they weren't bad either.
Yeah. Even even 2019, the one we played the last week was kind of crappy in the rain and stuff, but the first one was when we first saw Devlin Duck Hodges come in and go to overtime and all that. So it's just, it's amazing that this rivalry is just, it continues to be the best thing in the sport. And I don't care who you're a fan of. Steelers and Ravens is the premier rivalry in the NFL right now. And that's why they put it on Sunday night again.
And I couldn't even disagree with you. Do you know what I mean? Because this has become, and the reason why it has become, I think, such a good rivalry is that it's almost reminds me of the Steelers and Raiders rivalry back in the day. Because either the Raiders were going to the Super Bowl and you had to go through the Raiders to get there, or the Steelers were going to the Super Bowl and you had to go through the Steelers to get there.
Yeah, it's a physical bar that you have to be able to pass in the AFC. For the Bengals, they needed to be able to beat the Steelers and the Ravens. They built their team to do that, and kudos to them. They have done that. Bengals are really good right now. But they haven't been able to ever sustain it for as long as the Steelers and the Ravens have. I think they probably will now because Joe Burrow, I think, is really, really, really good. But
I agree, and they put together a pretty good team up there as far as
they're stacked,
running backs.
Yeah.
They got good running backs. They've got good wide receivers. Their offensive line has come together.
Oh no, I love their skill players. I love their receivers and everything. They've done a great job. But yeah, the Steelers and Ravens, I just think, and what I like about it personally is that I like a rivalry where you're not scared coming out of the game. Like when we were in the heat of the rivalry with the Bengals in like the Killer Bees era, where it was like the Killer Bees versus Pac-Man Jones and Vontez Burfict and Andy Dalton and all that. Going out of those games, I was worried Le'Veon was going to get hurt. I was worried, because they were dirty. We
saw it happen. We saw it happen to AB. We saw the stuff happen. I mean,
we saw them throwing garbage at Ben as he gets wheeled off on the, at a playoff game and all that. We've seen it happen. But I think with Baltimore, at least it's just been my take. I find it to be a respectful rivalry. Like, I think that there's mutual just like, yeah, that's the Steelers, and yeah, that's the Ravens. Like,
you've never seen a Raven do any disrespecting to a terrible towel, have you?
Not that I can think of, and that's a very excellent point. I haven't thought about it that specific way, but that's true.
That is a serious, by the way, thank you, Jackie, for the
Treehorn.
$2. Woo!
What a legend.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Get some dono hype for the Jackie. But yeah. What was I saying?
You've never seen a Raven stomping on the terrible towel.
Right. So we've seen on multiple occasions Cincinnati.
Oh yeah.
Disrespect the terrible towel.
No doubt about it.
That means that they disrespect the rivalry. There's been more fights and players suspended before the games of Cincinnati and Steelers games compared to Cincinnati or Steelers and Ravens games, because there is that mutual respect.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Because the Ravens have won just as much as the Steelers have. The Ravens have Super Bowl rings just like the Steelers have. And what does Cincinnati have? This.
Yeah, the way I see it is it's like so if they were a family, the Steelers and the Ravens are like they're the oldest son, but they're twins.
Yes.
Right? And so they're the same level, and then the Bengals are sort of the middle child that's just always trying to, like, you know, they just never can get the attention.
Trying to reach up there, yeah.
Exactly. And then the Browns are like the baby that their parents had when the other kids were already grown up. And just like they never grow up, right? And none of the other kids, the other kids never relate to them in the same way. Right. They think of them more like a nephew than they do a brother. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, because they're so much older than them.
Yeah. They were already out of the house. They're like, you know.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yeah, it's like, you know, they got posters of like Ariana Grande up, and the Steelers and the Ravens are like, we had Farrah Fawcett posters.
Yeah,
like,
right.
I don't know what you're talking
there you
about.
Go. That's a great analogy.
And I think, you know, I think that's the way I've always seen it, and I like that these Ravens games, you just come out and, you know, one way or the other. Even the Trubisky game a couple weeks ago, I hated that game, but you know, you got to take them. You got, you know, like, it's just, it is what it is. And the rivalry wouldn't be as good if we beat them every single time. Like, you know, I'm not saying I want to lose one, but like, you know, it's just sometimes you get hit in the face and sometimes you hit them in the face. And I'll tell you what, this week, Kenny freaking Pickett hit the Ravens in the face.
You have one freaking job, Mike. Okay, you play them twice a year, man. You got one freaking job. I don't care if we lose all the games on the schedule. You got one job, buddy. Yeah. One job. Beat them Ratbirds.
Oh, listen, I think he's beat them 5 out of 6 now, right? I think he swept them in 2021 and 1 of 2 this year.
Exactly. And here's the thing, though, I'm going to say about this.
Tell you what, I think he would have swept them this year, too, if Pickett didn't get knocked out.
I think so, too. I'm going to say this about the Ravens, okay? As much as I pick on them, as much as I downtrodden them, I have the same mutual respect for them as I do because they are trying to do the same thing that the Steelers are doing, and they're doing it the same way.
Yep.
They're trying to build the team to do the same thing that the Steelers are doing now. Unfortunately, they're dealing with a running quarterback situation where Pittsburgh is not. So it's a little bit of a different situation, but their defense has always been relatively the same style type of defense that Pittsburgh has had.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And so there's always been that level of respect because whether you like it or not, Baltimore wins. Whether you like it or not, Baltimore has Super Bowls, they have, you know, division championships and everything else. Okay. It would be one thing if Cincinnati was winning. It would be one thing if they didn't disrespect the terrible towel and disrespect the rivalry itself. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I think it is important to say, especially considering this week and the stuff that we've seen this week and some of the leadership traits with Joe Burrow. I think there is a change there. And I do think they're different now. I think with Zach Taylor and Joe Burrow, I think they clearly have a different kind of place and status. So to be clear, I'm speaking of sort of a past sort of era.
Things have changed up there in the last 5 years.
You know, we haven't brought up the sort of DeMar Hamlin situation, and I don't want to really talk about it too much because I think this show should be just fun, and I don't have anything to add. But I will just say it. By all accounts, it seemed like nothing but class from the Bengals, and you know, all credit to them for
So
everything.
I'm going to make an observation here for you.
Shout out Levi, another $10 as he leaves to go make dinner.
Hey man, thank you, Levi. Gosh, man,
it's an awesome day.
I'm telling you, man, we need to be working where you guys are working. Let me make a little observation here for you. Cincinnati. A lot of things have happened in Cincinnati.
It's true.
A lot of horrible injuries have happened in Cincinnati.
It's true.
Not just to Pittsburgh, a la Ryan Shazier.
Yep.
Okay. Tua had his concussion. His first concussion was there in Cincinnati this year.
Yes.
Right? There's been other players and other injuries that have happened in Cincinnati.
It's very true.
And the reason why I'm saying this is because I want to shout out to the medical staff, the first responders, the stadium staff, the hospital staff, the ambulance drivers, the EMS, the nurses, the doctors, all the people that are there and trained to handle this type of situation. He was not on the ground more than 45 seconds before there was medical people there at him.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. That was one thing I did think of right away was that was where that happened to Ryan. And, he has never had anything but the best things to say about the treatment in the hospital and all that. And and that always meant a lot. And, those are the things, again, obviously, where this is, it's above football and it's more than football. And people forget now, especially maybe younger people who I realize 5 years is a long time. But I remember the Ryan Shazier thing like it was yesterday, and I felt as shaken. I'm not comparing, but I felt the emotions that a lot of people were feeling this week then. Like I remember watching the rest of that game and just being like, how are they playing?
How are they playing?
Like I don't know how you could possibly do that. And people forget though, because he's mostly okay now, but there was a period of time seeing Ryan Shazier in like a wheelchair and stuff where you were like, whoa, like, is this
is real?
Yeah,
this is like, real. The fact
this
that
guy
he was
who
in
was
the hospital for 3 weeks,
a physical monster, like literally the most physically gifted person on our roster, like without exaggeration. And then just the next day he's in a wheelchair and you're like, is he going to walk again?
And
like,
it's
scary. It's scary.
And then seeing him a year later walking out on stage to announce the pick, that was awesome. So I'm going to share something with you and all the great viewers out there. Okay. I played football for 10 years. I was very lucky that I was able to play on some winning teams, some state championship teams, some things like that. I had got some good luck, right? My final 2 years I spent pretty much injured because my knee got taken out and whatever. And that's kind of how that happened. But I'm going to say this. I'm going to share this. There was one game where a young man did virtually what Shazier did and got bent back the wrong way, right? And was laying there unconscious on the field. Okay. Now, I never had anything like this happen to a teammate. This always happened to another player on the other team.
Sure.
And I never caused any of the injuries or anything like this. He was just at the wrong spot at the wrong time in the pile making a tackle.
Yeah.
And
it just happened.
It just happened, right? Okay. And so the game stopped. Now this, you got to understand something. Now this was before they had helicopters that would come and pick up players or people, like before they had air transport, right? Because nowadays, you get into an accident on the highway or something,
sure,
and they'll bring a helicopter in to fly you out to get you to the hospital quicker.
Sure.
Okay, so this was the first time they called a helicopter to come in. They loaded this kid. They strapped him to the board. They kept his helmet on. His face mask was off, and he had all the foam wrapped around his head. He was on the backboard, and then he was strapped to the gurney. And then the helicopter came, and they put him in the helicopter, and they took off.
Yep.
In a half an hour, I'd say a half an hour after that happened, the whistle blew and we played ball again.
Yeah, it's unimaginable.
Okay. You have to understand something. This is at a different time.
Yeah, it's
this was at a different world back then. Okay. Today, on that field, It was about that young man. Okay. And I absolutely agree and feel awesome about the fact that those medical staff and those people at the Cincinnati field, those are the heroes. Those are the people that should be, praised and highlighted and be made out to be heroes, because they're the ones that saved his life.
No doubt about that. Yeah, I couldn't. There's nothing else I can really add to that other than, it's just cool to see. And I think as terrible as things like this are, I just think they're cool because you see the way that,
the humanity.
Yeah, exactly. You see that most people are able to step outside and realize, like, it doesn't matter if he's a Buffalo Bill, a Pittsburgh Panther. It doesn't matter. He's just, a human being, and we're all watching these athletes playing a blood sport, and this is the thing that can kind of happen, and it can happen in everyday life too. But it just, I just think it's cool. And if you've seen any of the news around his GoFundMe for his toy drive and stuff, that it was like, it was at, it was from like 2 years ago, and it was at like $6.5 million. Yeah, it was at like a couple, $10,000 or something, and now it's gone to.
They have the same people donating to our Dono fund that they got donating to this guy's fund. Holy moly. Yeah. Another $1.99 from Black Rain. Holy moly. Yeah. Thank you so very much.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out, bud. But what'd you say, 6 million now it's over?
Yeah, it was over 6.2 million. That was at like 4:00 this afternoon is when I last saw that.
And all we can hope for is just that he pulls through, and obviously, I'm not going to speculate or talk any further on it, but
right.
It's just cool to see the humanity, and hopefully it works out, but it's scary stuff.
I agree. Just to let you know, though, too, that Kenny Pickett did do a shout out because they were teammates.
Yeah, I was figuring they were probably teammates. I was thinking of him, and I thought of James Conner and stuff, because the guys that just had been at Pitt,
right.
But yeah.
I think Conner is
he might have been
2 years removed.
Yeah.
2 years removed. Yeah. But because he came out his junior year, Conner did.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, but
no, I mean, hey, hopefully it works out. I think,
as long as he is able to look, the fact that he's alive.
Yeah.
Okay, that's everything, man. For real, life is everything. Okay, the fact that he's alive is everything. Mm-hmm. So. It doesn't really matter if he can play football or not. The fact that he's alive, the fact that maybe someday he might be able to sit there and, see his daughter get married or watch his son graduate from college or whatever is going to happen for this young man.
Yeah, that's all that matters.
Yeah, that's all that matters. So
it is, but I
Jackie Thorne with another $2 dono. Hi, boom, boom, boom.
I do think that switching over back to actual football now, it seems mundane and stupid, but I'm gonna do my, it is what it is, right?
Gosh, we're gonna talk about
this
football.
Awkward position where it's like, because I remember like people watching it, like I was watching ESPN, and my girlfriend saying like, well, it's so stupid that they're making them just sit here and kind of talk about it and like and then they go to commercial and it's like, okay, well, but then it's like everybody in the world is turning this channel and it's like Tostitos commercial, and it's like, okay, that doesn't feel right either. You know what I mean? There's no winning in that situation.
So there was an hour in between the time of when he was carted or when he was taken to the ambulance until when they suspended the game, right?
It's just impossible. So what do you do?
Because look, they're in Cincinnati. The main office is in New York, right? So now you got to make calls to the commissioner, to the union, and all that other stuff. And I can completely understand why it took as long as it did, and I can completely understand why they did what they did so that they could postpone the game.
Exactly. But my point is just the awkwardness of that, and so obviously me transitioning back to football is stupid too. But I think that one thing I did want to say is that. Listen, the Steelers have a real chance to make the playoffs, and I can't imagine if you had told me this, 2 months ago.
I want you to tell me about your
when they
thoughts.
traded Chase Claypool and they were 2-6.
Right.
I mean,
yeah, right. I want you to tell me your thoughts on number 93.
Number 93.
Number 93.
Oh, Mark Robinson.
I want you to give me your thoughts on Mr. 93.
I thought he looks like, he's like the linebacker version of Jaylen Warren. He just gets going downhill and he's just gonna thump whatever's in his way. He's made some really nice sticks in the run game. I think he could definitely be a contributor next year for sure.
See, y'all can't see this big, giant, ugly, goofy smile on my face when I talk about this young man because, oh my goodness.
Yeah, he's
everything that I've watched about his tape, and I specifically said, all right, let me zero in on this guy, right? And because see, what I'll do is I'll record the game, and then sometimes it takes me like a couple of hours, and I'll only watch up to the first half.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Because I'm looking at tendencies and I'm rewinding and you know what I mean and stuff like that. So I'm seeing him he's got amazing vision. He's able to read plays very quickly. Okay. That's one of the things that I think Bush lacks.
Yeah.
Is being able to react quicker to what's going on.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I just think the die is cast at this point with Devin Bush specifically, where I just don't think he's a very good football player, and I'm tired of really talking about, why, because to me it doesn't really matter because the end result is just that he's not very good and he was a wasted draft pick and he cost multiple draft picks, and multiple millions, and it just kind of sucks. But it is what it is. I don't hate him as a person or anything. He's just not a very good player.
For the Steelers.
Yeah. It's just it just is what it is. And I think Robinson shows. He reminds me a little bit of like Vince Williams kind of guy, where he's going to be that tough kind of run stuffer guy. I still think they're going to need to figure out a sort of dynamic solution because they just haven't been able to really replace that coverage linebacker thing. They've tried every which way since Shazier got hurt, where it's like, okay, they signed what was that guy a couple years ago, John Bostic, and he wasn't very good.
Oh yeah.
And then they drafted Devin Bush, and it was like okay for a little while, and then he got hurt, and then Vince Williams aged out, and then it was Miles Jack, and you're like, okay, it's just
yada yada, the next guy up. But then when Robinson comes in, and you're like, ooh, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah, he does. I just see him as being a more of a run kind of in the box guy, Okay. They're gonna need that coverage.
Here's my thoughts on this whole thing here with this defense. I'm of the ilk that the winds of change need to happen, and they need to go with more of a 4 or 5-man front and more of the 3 linebackers set, and then go with the more defensive backs, because the whole linebacker on slants and crossing routes and across the middle and covering tight ends ain't working for the Steelers.
Yeah, well, so I think you saw almost what you could call a little bit of a prototype for a new defense against Baltimore, which, they were trotting out 5 and 6 defensive linemen at times, if you're including Highsmith and TJ as linemen.
IR.
Yeah, and and they're very much not really a traditional 3-4 defense anymore, the way that we've always thought of it. And I don't know. I think it'll be interesting to see what the defense looks like next year. I think the cornerback position is an interesting one. I saw some really, really positive stats about Cam Sutton today, and I continue to think that Cam Sutton is just a really good player, and I think they need to make sure that he's re-signed and going to stick around a while because he's just so savvy. It's not about his physical ability. He just knows what to do. But I do think that they are a better team in the future, if Cam Sutton and Levi Wallace are their number 2 and number 3 corners, and they need to draft like a serious cornerback. I think I've been saying that all year. I've been pounding the table.
What about a Joey Porter Jr.?
That would be great. I think they need these top 3 picks, so they're going to end up probably picking, say they don't make the playoffs and they win, they'll probably be picking like 15 or 16 in the draft, and then they're probably going to have the 32nd or 33rd pick from the Bears, because the Bears haven't won a game. God bless poor Chase Claypool. He would have the number 1 pick in the draft right now if he was a team.
Right.
He's only won 2 games all year. Hard times for Chase Claypool. I heard he got a little angry with the receiver coach and was fighting a little bit after the game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's really got to be
that always bodes well.
Yeah, it's got to be a really frustrating season for him. I mean, he went over there with high expectations and hopes, and it just hasn't worked out for him, sadly. But it doesn't surprise me, because I didn't think he was going to be capable of really getting on a moving bus to steal a Tomlinism. We all kind of thought that he wasn't maybe the fastest learner here, and he'd been here for 3 years. So, I didn't think he's going to be able to hop on something there. But either way, we're going to be probably picking like 15, 32, and 47. And that's 3 picks before where we even took Claypool as our first draft pick in the year that we traded the Minka thing. So
we need a cornerback.
I think, to me, you got 3 picks, and I don't care what order they go in. I'm not a draft expert, but to me, I'm going probably cornerback, tackle, and
D end or D tackle.
I really think you need a wide receiver too. I really think that.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm talking about those first 3 picks.
Yeah, I am too. Yeah, I think if you have a chance
to get
a
cornerback, you got
corner, wide receiver, and tackle. That's what I would do.
Oh! You're going wide receiver, tackle. Okay.
One of the whatever the order, I would go cornerback, wide receiver, tackle, because I think.
Okay, I got you.
To me, it's rookie deal. Kenny Pickett. You got 5 years of it now. We're all convinced that he's the guy. To me, you have to go hard on his rookie year. The Bengals smartly did it with Joe Burrow, and they moved up and they got Jamar Chase. They were criticized at the time, and what happened? They gave their quarterback his favorite target, and they made magic together over the last 2 years and won the AFC and have beaten the Chiefs 3 times in a row. So I think
and went to the Super Bowl.
Exactly. So to me, if it is Jordan Addison, if there's a world where the Steelers could get him and Pickett really wants to go out and get him and they think he's worth it, I would absolutely do it, because I think Pickens and Deontay are good players, and Pickens could be a great player for sure. I think in this NFL nowadays, I think you need 3 really good wide receivers, and they don't have another good one on the roster. They just don't. Sims made that really nice catch, and he's a nice piece. Yeah, he's a nice piece and everything. But I think you look at what Cincinnati trots out with T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and Tyler Boyd. Okay, that's elite. That's a really high end receiving core. They need a third option that's not just the tight end. That's my
okay.
They need to take the top off a little bit, because Pickens has had some long routes and some long completions, but they also haven't had anything this year besides Muth's like catch and run 50-yarder, where it was really like a play was made after the guy got the ball. They just don't have that in the offense.
It's so that's why I'm gonna slightly disagree with your call for a wide receiver, because I think that we maybe could get one in the lower rounds or even in free agency, because I really think that if you utilize the guys in the room as you should be using them, okay, instead of having them run the football, instead of having them do these stupid jet sweeps and all this other crazy dumb stuff. Look, Pickens is the guy that can take the top off of defenses. He's a guy that almost is like Randy Moss-like. Okay? He can make those stupid, ugly, disgusting catches, right? Anywhere on the field. Let him
He does, but
do
see, okay, here to make a metaphor. Okay, I think of, you remember the Arizona Cardinals that we played in the Super Bowl? And they had 3 wide receivers that got 1,000 yards. They had Fitzgerald and Bolden, and then Steve Preston. Yeah,
yeah.
And I love Anquan Bolden, and I even when he came over the Ravens, I love that guy. He was a throwback football player, man. I loved.
He reminded
Bolden.
me a lot of Hines Ward.
Yeah, and I think I see Pickens being like Anquan Bolden. And I think that if you have a chance to get a guy that could be your Larry Fitz, which I think could be a Jordan Addison, if it's possible, you know, I think you just go all in on giving your guy the tools, because I am sold that this offensive line, they could use another piece or two, but I think they're good enough if they upgrade one of those tackle positions. I think they're good enough to be a top half of the league unit next year. They're already trending towards that right now. And the rest of the skill players are in place. I mean, look at that core. You have that core. I mean, first or second players, Najee, freiermuth, Pickett, Pickens. Okay. Like all 4 of them.
And even Dante, this is only his, what, fifth year
now. Yeah. You know, so you're talking about that whole core is going to be on their rookie deals. I think if you have the opportunity, the Steelers are never going to go out and sign like a really high-end wide receiver. The only way they would get it is in the draft. I think there's a difference. You know, I see somebody in the chat mention Calvin Austin, which I've been getting this all year. And again, I've just been burned, man. I've just been burned too many times by the Dree Archers of the world and the Chris Rainey's of the world, where at a certain point, there's a reason there aren't a lot of skill players in the NFL at 5'7" or 5'8" that are super successful, because you just have to have some physical size. It's a lot to overcome at that size. And I just think Calvin Austin, I mean, if he works out and he ends up having a nice career, good for him. I hope it would be awesome. I'm not drafting a guy like a Jordan Addison because you're telling me Calvin Austin is around. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's a difference between taking a flyer on somebody in a later round because of a good skill set. That's kind of what they did with Deontay Johnson. Really, Deontay always had the great route running, and that's why he was able to get him in like the 3rd or 4th round whenever he got drafted. But there's a difference. These guys, you know, I think off the top of my head, you know, Juju Smith-Schuster, Robert Woods, Tyler Boyd. You know, I notice I realize I'm saying a lot of the same type of guys, but I'm talking about guys who really play the position. You know, not athletes who are wide receivers, but guys who are wide receivers. Like Juju came out and Juju was an NFL wide receiver immediately. And I think that, you know, you tend to T. Higgins, another guy. You know, these are guys you get in the 1st, 2nd round who are just ready to contribute. And that's my point is, yeah, you can start thinking about the longer term process of planning for the defense and, you know, however you want to do that. But to me, you know, the way that we've seen things go in the NFL, look at what the Eagles did with Carson Wentz, and he didn't even end up being a good quarterback, but they had a dynamic young player on a rookie deal, and they bet the house on it. And you know what? It paid off. Not the way that they intended it to, but it did.
It still got them the Super Bowl. So, I mean,
yeah. No, I mean, you know, and that's not to take anything away from Calvin Austin or anything. I just think I think if you get the chance to get somebody that would be like a, you know, a real weapon, like a real serious polished weapon right away, I wouldn't pass it up. And I don't think they would either, because I think that's what they did with freiermuth. I didn't think they needed freiermuth, and they saw him there and said, well, he'd be a heck of a player, and they took him.
I don't think they would pass up on a player of that particular quality if a player like that was available to them. I mean, obviously they picked up Kenny Pickett. Nobody was expecting that to happen. Everybody was like, oh, Kenny Pickett's the most, you know, quote unquote NFL ready quarterback. And like, well, why didn't the Saints pick him, or why didn't this team pick him, or whatever. You know what I mean? So it's all gonna boil down to making sure that Pittsburgh does their due diligence in the draft to get guys that can come in and be immediately able to contribute if they're going to be drafted in the first and second round. And I'm willing to wait a year or two for the guys that are drafted behind that. You know what I'm saying? But I look at first round and second round drafts these days in the NFL of guys to come in and play right away or be contributors in a significant way to that particular season that they're drafted in. Because more and more now, the NCAA schools are all playing professional schemes. They're running professional type programs. I mean, all you have to do is look at Alabama, right? Almost every single one of their players, offense or defense, comes out ready to rock.
Oh yeah, I mean USC, so many of those schools.
I mean there's so many schools. You come out there; these players are ready to rock and roll.
Yeah.
I mean, so I'm agreeing with. I think it was Empower 1969. It says that we don't need to draft a wide receiver high, where we've historically been able to draft them really well in the third and fourth round. I get what you're saying. And the reason why you're saying that is because a talent like that won't last to the third or fourth round.
Yeah. And I think I would say that my specific thought on that too, I do, it feels different for me specifically if it's a possibility of Jordan Addison, very specifically. Because I really like what Cincinnati did with Jamar Chase for Joe Burrow, and I really think it helped Joe Burrow's progression a lot. And I think something like that could be a potentially really cool thing. What they did together and what Pickett and Addison did together in 2021 was excellent. And so it's, I'd be more willing to go a little higher if it was that specific situation. But we'll see. I don't know. I think corner is still probably where I would go with the first pick.
Obviously, that's where I would
wide
go.
receiver pick. I'm thinking that 32, that 33, that Bears pick.
I like it there. If you're going to go wide receiver, I would like it there.
Yeah, exactly. And then the Steelers' second pick, you could go with, whoever the best offensive lineman available. In past years, we've seen guys like Landon Dickerson and other high-end centers and stuff fall to those kind of spots. And, to me, you could almost take your pick because they need depth too. Because the one thing about the line,
we need that swing.
Exactly. The line has been better this year, and it's improving every week for sure. But I also think that
no depth.
They've been extremely lucky because the same five has played every game, and they have no players behind them. If they lost James Daniels, their line would be completely shot.
Be a different story.
Yeah, it really
We'd be talking about a different. We'd be having a different show today if that was the case.
No, it's true.
Yeah, but so. If the draft were to come, I would say I would take cornerback first. I would probably try to do what I could to get that. See, I'm going to agree to disagree with you here a little bit on this one, 5-star. I really think that Pittsburgh needs more of that defensive star shutdown cornerback guy to go along with Minka, to go along with Edmonds, because I think George Pickens is going to be that guy. And I just don't think that Matt Canada is the offensive coordinator that's able to produce the type of production that I think that these
I see
players,
I see what you're saying. I mean,
okay.
I would argue though that maybe it's a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B, because I think that you could say they haven't done it, but also with Ben throwing it last year and with the receiving core last year, and then the receiving core this year and who's been throwing the ball, I just would argue that they just don't really have the personnel to pull off those kind of plays, because they just don't have it. They just don't really have a real polished, deep threat kind of guy. You know, they don't have a guy that could be, you know, Mike Wallace or anybody like that. They just don't have it.
And I think it might have to do with some of the coaching.
Yeah.
Because you can't tell me that George Pickens, who we watched at Georgia, take the top off of defenses on a weekly basis.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, you could. We'll see. I mean, maybe I'm underrating. I think I might have a little bit of a natural with Pickens where I have a natural, like, I'm trying not to get carried away, you know?
I'm with you.
Because he does amazing stuff. He almost exclusively does amazing stuff. I mean, he never does just okay. He never has just like a regular catch. He only has amazing catches.
When he is able to make the regular catches, I see him make them.
Yeah.
And he makes them look so mundane.
Oh yeah.
Like you know what I mean?
By next year he's the best receiver on this team. That's no problem. You know,
I think next year he's going to be the best receiver in the league.
Oof, that's lofty. We'll see how that goes. But you know, why are we talking about the draft? Why are we talking about the offseason? It is week 18 and we are alive.
We have a chance.
We're alive. I mean, like literally, it's just two things. It's not even that nuts. I mean, they just have to win, obviously. And then you have to
help.
Yeah, but you need two things to happen. You need the Bills to beat the Patriots at home. Okay, they're going to be playing fired up, man. They're going to be wanting to play for their brother. They're going to want to knock their division opponent out of the playoffs if they could. And of course, you don't think they would want to.
That's what we're hoping.
And of course, don't you think that they would want to play the Steelers? I mean, really, if they could have their choice of any of the potential 7 seeds, I think they'd probably rather play the Steelers than any of the rest of them because they beat the tar out of us earlier this year. And to be honest, they would do it.
That's a good point. I didn't think of it like that.
To be honest, they would do it again too. I mean, we're not ready. We're not ready for the playoffs. If we played the Bills, it'd be just like the Chiefs game last year. We get stomped. I mean, it's not like I'm super excited about, you know, but it'd be crazy anomaly if it happened. So you need them to win.
Give us an opportunity for one more show.
You need them to win, and you need the Dolphins to lose to the Jets, which the Dolphins are playing a third string quarterback we don't know anything about. He played bad this week. You know, that team is
Jets
completely
didn't exactly look all that shining last week either.
That's true. But you know, you might have a quarterback with the Jets playing for their kind of NFL career if it's Mike White or if Zach Wilson were to get in there. You know, I kind of wish they would play Joe Flacco because just for old time's sake, you know, just to see Joe Flacco do it. Because Joe Flacco would be good enough to get past a third string quarterback. So I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do, but I mean, it's not the craziest. I mean, they're playing a third string quarterback. Okay, I mean, you know, there's a chance, and the Jets, you know, they did have a good start to this season, then they collapsed down the back half, and you know, you would think, you know, they have a very emotional coach in Saleh, and you know, you think he could get them up a little bit to say like, let's finish this thing on a high note. Like, I know the second half of the season didn't go like we wanted, but you know, we're going to go out and get a quarterback next year, like defense, like show out. Cause they do have a good D, they're a D-led team, you know, like, go show out and get a pick 6. And like, it's not crazy.
Okay. You know, we haven't talked about the Browns.
Yeah. Well, cause I mean, you know, I just don't know what to expect. You know, the Browns have just they're different week to week really this year. And, I think
Deshaun Watson had a really good game last week.
He did. He's not going to do it against the Steelers, though. The Steelers are winning this game. I have no doubt in my mind. None. 9-8. You could write it down in the record books right now. Steelers are winning this game. 100%.
And you thought that my prediction of George Pickens being the best receiver next year was a hot take.
Sailors are winning. Kenny Pickett's going to take it.
You heard it here, folks. No. You heard it here first, folks.
I got no fear. You know when Deshaun Watson looked good in 2020, and then the Steelers beat him. In week 2, I think it was.
Okay, I am
big
with
deal.
You, but
T.J. Watt was all over him, if I recall. Come on, get out of here, Deshaun Watson. No way. Steelers win this game easily. I'm not even worried about it. Not even worried about it. 9-8. You put it in the record books right now.
2 touchdowns?
Two touchdown passes for Kenny Pickett. Yes.
Yeah, all right. There you go. Now
Steelers are going to win this game. Steelers are going to win this game like 29-13. Please, the Browns are ready to go on their little off-season vacation. Deshaun Watson's going to grab a little cruise down to San Juan, Puerto Rico. They're ready to be on the beach next week. They're going nowhere. They don't care about the Steelers. They're not even studying this week. No chance. Steelers win 29-13.
Wow. Do you hear that, folks? Do you hear that noise?
I'm just being honest.
The sound of metal clanking together.
I'm just being honest. Look, you want to, we were all talking about Mike T earlier this year, and he handled this transition to the new era a little roughly, and I have complaints about it. But you know what?
Roughly.
If that man could get this team of 22 and 24-year-olds to respond to being 2-6 and go 6-2 down the stretch, they're winning. They're not finishing a below 500 after this. They're not. They are winning this game. I would bet my life on it. This is when the Steelers take care of business. It is. I don't care if it's Ben Roethlisberger, Charlie Batch, Dennis Dixon, Mason Rudolph, Duck Hodges, any of them. They're winning this game.
Do you know that this has been the Steelers' best December in like 4 seasons?
Yeah, I mean, checks out. Yeah, they collapsed a little bit the last couple of years in December. Yeah, and you know, this guy, Broadman from the 5th floor, says this is the Browns Super Bowl. No, it's not. There's nobody on that team that cares about the Steelers. It's not a rivalry. It's not. You know why? Because the Browns traded the guys and got rid of all the guys that made it a rivalry, namely their quarterback, Baker Mayfield. They don't, there's no unity there. There's no team there. Honestly, I think even that coach is a sitting duck now. If you told me that 2 years ago, I would have said you're nuts. He's going to be there for a decade. But that team has done absolutely every single thing
They've regressed.
Wrong. Every single thing they were doing. 2 years ago, I was saying, wow, Cleveland's really building right. They're doing the right thing. And since then, they have done absolutely everything wrong. And they are the worst team in the AFC North. Forget about record, whatever happens, this, that, the other thing. I don't care. They've completely regressed. They're tied to a serial predator now for however long. And it's guaranteed for however long. They have no draft picks in the first round for the next 3 years. Their defense is depleted. Their wide receiving core sucks. No, the Steelers are winning this game.
So tell us how you really feel about this one.
I just hate the Browns. I hate the Browns because I despise them because I think about being a prideful Pittsburgh Steelers fan, right? And I put my shoes in what it would have been like to be a Browns fan in 2020 and feel like with Garrett and Baker and all this stuff and Jarvis Landry and these guys, and starting to feel like they're really turning it around and they're really making some good decisions for once. And they did what they did. And I just think it's detestable. I really do. Whether you think
Landry and Odell Beckham Jr.
Whether you think Mayfield is a great quarterback or not, he was a number 1 overall pick that came in and led them to a playoff win at a place where they barely ever even win regular season games against their most hated and intense rival. And if I was looking at it from that point, I would have been absolutely disgusted. And I think about what I would have felt like if the Steelers did that. And it's made me hate them all the more. Is anything I'm saying unfair? I don't know.
You don't hear me disagreeing with any of it, do you?
No.
Well.
I just think Baker honestly, I think Baker got a real raw deal from them. I really do.
I think that Baker played his way into his deal.
Yeah.
Look, either you got it or you don't.
Dude was playing with a separated shoulder last year, man.
Okay, but what about Okay, but what about the year or 2 years before that?
Yeah, I mean, last year
he had that one good year, like Mitchell Trubisky.
Yeah,
he had that one good year because he was a first-round draft pick. Yeah. Right? You would think that a first-round draft pick would have at least a couple of seasons of good But no, it's like it only lasted for one season, and then the tires fell off. There was
he threw for
dissension in the ranks where Landry wasn't getting the ball, Odell wasn't getting the ball, and this, that, and everything else.
Not to go on a Baker Mayfield diatribe here, right? But rookie 2018, he threw 27 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. That's a pretty good year. 19, he threw 22 touchdowns. 20, he threw 26 to 8. Okay, in 2020, he threw 26 touchdowns to 8 picks. That's a good year, no matter who you are. They're a run-first team, so 3,600 yards. And then in 2020, he was hurt all year, playing with a separated shoulder, and he still threw 17 touchdowns. And, it was a disappointing year, but I don't know, man. I think he got a real raw deal from them. I think they let guys like Beckham and Landry, who aren't even there anymore, be the ones who created him being a cast-off. You know what I'm saying? It's different if you're in Pittsburgh and it's like Hines Ward and Troy Polamalu said, oh, this guy stinks. Yeah, okay. But you're talking about 2 hired guns who aren't even there anymore who had a problem with him. Who cares? They traded both of them. I don't know. I just think they're a stupid franchise. I hate the Browns. Hate them.
You're not going to ever hear any arguments here.
Oh my God, we gotta wrap this show up because I've been yelling and screaming too long. I gotta eat some dinner. Steel Flyers, what do you want to tell the people besides you hate the Browns?
Yeah, right. Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, I think this was a record show tonight.
Oh, well, definitely revenue-wise, no doubt.
Revenue-wise, so big props and thanks to all you folks out there, man. Mm-hmm. We wouldn't be here if it wouldn't be for you guys, and wow, we're going to try to get a T-shirt out of this deal.
Yeah, I got to design a shirt now. I appreciate you guys, and yeah, y'all are the best. Yeah,
man, thank you so very much. Holy smokes. One thing I am going to tell you, though, is go check us out on the Steel Flyers website, where you can go to steelflyers.com/link/5-star and check out the 5-star matchup show that we just did here. And it'll be up, a couple hours or whatever. It'll be up there and all that. But go to the shop, get some swag from Steel Flyers, and check out all the great stuff over there. We're doing prospects. We just did Luca DePasquo, a young goaltender we interviewed, and got some other guys on the hook. So go over to Steel Flyers All Sports Network on YouTube or on the web at steelflyers.com. Check us out and subscribe and like, man. Appreciate you having us on here. 5-star.
Very cool. Yeah, no, of course. I mean, it's an honor, and I think these shows are always excellent, and clearly everybody, felt the same way today, overwhelmingly so. You guys,
wow.
It's a very gratifying. It's a new year. As I said, it was just my birthday. For those that don't know, I mentioned it on Twitter, but I started a new job this week too. So y'all guys, really made me feel pretty good about myself. I appreciate it.
Awesome sauce.
Yeah, but yeah, if if you're thinking about it and you're on the fence, I would really appreciate it if you do the little Patreon for that $4 or $7 a month. Just helps kind of keep steady things going and all that kind of stuff. So if you can do that, that'd be awesome. It's patreon.com/5SMU. But really, I mean, just make sure you keep watching the show. And also, the other thing I want to mention, I rarely do this, but this has happened to me a couple times now. The season's about to end. I don't know what's going to happen this week. And numbers go off a cliff at that point. And that's okay. I understand that. I don't post as much, all that, whatever. It's fine. But I am currently at 11,983 subscribers. And last year this happened to me just below 10. And year before that, it happened to me just below 7. And the first year, it happened to me right below 2. So, don't leave me hanging. Find me 17 more people. I don't care if it's your mother, your dog, your uncle, whatever. I need 17 people to subscribe to this show by Sunday because I need it. I just can't handle another off season where I'm like floating just below a milestone.
The next number.
Yeah, no, I can't. Come on, no way. Don't leave me hanging. Okay, you don't have to pay me any money. You don't have to do that. Just find me 17 freaking people to subscribe. I don't care if they're a cat or a frog or whatever. It doesn't matter. But yeah, otherwise, you guys know how much I appreciate y'all, and I appreciate all the love today and the chat revenue and all that. So. yeah, just make sure you keep watching, and yeah, we'll catch you down the road on the next edition of 5 Star Radio. Bye.
Awesome. Bye.